morning, guys. We're going to marble paper again today, but instead of using nail polish this time, we're going to use shaving cream and food coloring. Now, I bought shaving foam instead of shaving cream and it works just fine, so you can use whichever one you want. So I already sprayed my shaving cream into a pan, and I covered my pan in tin foil so it would not get all messed up. And my next step, what I like to do, is to smooth it all out before I start. You can just put the food coloring in on the bumpy shave foam or shave cream and start at that point, but I always think it looks a little bit nicer if I smooth it, so I'm doing that. And all I'm using to smooth it is just a piece of cardboard that I cut off. You could use, again, anything for that as long as you check with your mom first. Spatula, plastic knife, something wider tends to work a bit better. The next step is to just put on some drops of food coloring into the shave foam. However many you want. The more you put, the more saturated your colors will be. And then I like to mix it up just a little bit. And again, I'm just cutting a small piece of cardboard out. You don't need to use any special equipment for this. If you are going to use a utensil, probably use plastic, but it'll wash right off of metal also. So I mixed it up just a little bit into the foam. Now I'm going to take my big piece of cardboard and I'm going to smooth it all out again. You kind of lose some of the detail when you do this, but it makes a really interesting pattern. So you can see right there, all of my colors are smoothed together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my small piece of cardboard and I'm going to do the marbling. Remember, when you marble, you don't want to stir the colors together. You just want to make a pattern of some sort with them. And I'm going across the lines that I made last time so that it makes a very interesting pattern. When I put this on the paper again, all I'm going to be using is regular copier paper. You can also use a thicker paper like cardstock. You could use colored paper if you want to, but I'm just using my regular white paper. So I'm going to gently lay that down on top of the shaving cream, and I'm pressing it down. You'll be able to see the color coming through the paper. So it'll be really easy for you to notice if there's an air bubble in there. If there's an air bubble, it's a place where the ink is not touching the paper, and you're going to want to press down on that section a little bit harder. So I'm going to lift that up so you can see all of the color coming right through the paper. And all you do next is pick it up. Now it is going to be a little bit heavy, so you don't want to wave it around too much because it can rip. You're going to lay it down, and you want to leave that alone for about 2 minutes so that the color has a chance to really get into the paper. I'm going to switch these out. I did this one right before we started, so it's been sitting here a few minutes, and I will be able to show you our next step. After it's been sitting there a couple of minutes, you're going to want to take your scraper again, and you're just going to scrape all of the foam off of it. Remember that it's become damp from the shaving foam. You don't want to pull too hard with your scraper. You can actually rip a hole into it. So scrape one, scrape two, and you are left with a beautiful pattern on your paper. Now it is going to take a little while for it to finish drying, so you're just going to put it aside and let it dry. I'll show you some other patterns that I made earlier. The nice thing about these two is it works well on either side. It's a little bit fainter. And on this one, I did more of a swirl instead of straight lines. Okay. Now again, we were talking about things that you can do with your paper once you're done decorating it. And this time I chose to create some stationery. I had an envelope, so I just dyed the top of the envelope where it folds over. You don't want to dye the entire front of your envelope because then when you're writing an address, it might be hard for the post people to see, but you could do the entire back of your envelope if you wanted to. And my envelope matches a piece of paper. And again, what I did was I folded over the top and I just dyed the top. You can see it went a little over the line, but that's okay. I don't want to decorate the whole paper because then of course somebody might not be able to see it. If I want to make it even fancier, I can take a marker and I can create some little swirls or something up at the top to show even more where the top of the paper is. And then of course you could write your letter underneath and mail it off to somebody special. Maybe your grandma would appreciate that for Mother's Day. So I hope you enjoy decorating paper this way also. Think of different things you can do with your beautiful papers and send me pictures of them to my email address. I'll see you tomorrow.